Hello and welcome. I am Sarah.
And I am Shan.
From the Unified Soul Collective, and we are coming on today to have this little open and honest chat about our experiences for dry January, our whys, the habits that have formed, and generally just how we are getting on. So, Shani, tell me, what is your relationship with alcohol?
Well, for me, I'm now 11 days no alcohol. How are you? How many days are you?
I'm day 16, mate.
Day 16. Whoop, whoop. I think, for me, it's been an interesting journey, probably very similar to a lot of people. I grew up in South Africa with quite a heavy binge drinking culture and was drinking heavily for most of my teenage years and early teens, early 20s. I come from a family who loved to drink and party, and so, they always kind of modeled that same philosophy to me of drinking is fun is drinking. And, as I got older, I was like, the idea of quitting alcohol on any level was just never. And then as I've gotten older, I've just kind of had a lot of health issues and thought and basically realized that it was really, alcohol was a big contributing factor to how I was feeling. I wasn't feeling well. And I did a few cleanses, and during those processes I really just found myself feeling so much healthier, and it just gave me the chance to completely reevaluate my relationship with alcohol, to do 3 weeks at a time, 4 weeks at a time with no alcohol at all. And I just realized that I felt healthier, felt stronger, felt better overall. At this stage, I'm definitely not sober. I would call myself soberish, where I don't drink during the week generally, unless, it's a special occasion. I'll go out and have a drink. I will, sometimes I'll go out and party for 3 weekends in a row. Sometimes I won't party at all for the whole month. I still love to party, I love to go out, I love to dance, I love to go to festivals. So for me, it's not a case of just cutting it out completely, but I definitely have reevaluated my relationship with alcohol. And I'm now at a point where I enjoy taking a break from time to time and just enjoying, the clarity of mind and the health benefits and all of that. So that's where I'm at now, actually. How about you?
Yeah, I think it's really interesting, for women, both of us are in our 40s, growing up in completely different parts of the world, but the drinking culture, of the 90s and the, early thousands, it was fine to get up and have a beer in the morning, absolutely fine, and you just party. You didn't realise that you were kind of getting sucked into these kind of addictions, and it wasn't until I kind of got to my early 30s that I actually realised that I'd been partying for nearly since I was 13 pretty much. I'd been into it, and I was like, whoa, I have an issue, my anxiety was really playing out. I needed a drink to be able to go into social situations. I needed a drink to actually just allow me to get out of my flat and go to the shop, which is it's huge. So I ended up having quite a big problem with alcohol, and my journey kind of went, so about 10 years ago I had my first child, and then at that point I was literally forced to stop smoking, drug taking, drinking, and it was really, really harsh, and I was forced to start to heal where these addictions really came from, the real core root of it. And I work as a therapist. That's one of the things that I really look at for people, and I went totally teetotal and it was miserable. I'm like you, I would class myself as sober-ish. I know there's a lot of people who are just like absolutely categorically, no, I do not drink anymore. And whilst I see that this is like really good, I'm just not there yet. I'm not there to say like never say never. But what I do notice about myself is that there's this little part in my brain, right? And it's quite small, this little shadow part, but you know, you give it a few drinks and it's like, ooh, can I come out and play? And you keep doing it and it keeps getting bigger, and then it's like that addictive part, and it's like I don't go and have like a bottle of wine in the evenings, or I don't go out and get smashed, like hardly ever, because I feel like shit afterwards. But you know, that little part becomes more powerful, and anyone who has addictions know, whether that be like smoking, whether that be weed, whether, you know, that be drugs, when as soon as you start to feed that little part, it gets big and it gains power. And then I found myself like, you know, when we got to Christmas time, it was like at 6 o'clock, ooh, I really fancy a Bailey's, ooh, I really fancy a Prosecco, or like whatever. And then I start to realise, like, I wake up in the morning and like my like my energy is like off. I don't want to get up and go and meditate or like do all my shiz. I'm just like, it's another day.
Yeah.
Like the bed's a marshmallow rather than being buzzing for life. And then it's like, just feeling sluggish, like going through the process, not feeling like absolute shit, but knowing that my vibration has massively lowered. So yeah, I mean, that's my why. I mean, why are you doing it? Why do you, what do you,
Yeah,
what are you achieving?
I think, you know, like you say, it fluctuates for me, and it's always about trying to find the balance. And I think for a lot of people, we aiming for all or nothing. But in my experience, I think even if you can just try and find some kind of balance, you'll be in a better...
Just something.
like, you'll be in a better position, right?
Yeah.
Like, I never dreamed that I could get into a space where I didn't have a drink every night. I didn't dream that I could get into a place where I sometimes just forgot to drink for weeks on end because I was just like, oh, I forgot about alcohol. You know, like, but you can get there, and it just becomes less pressing, this need, you know. And so for me, it's about always trying to just find a balance. There's got to be a balance somewhere to be had. And you know, right now, when I was in towards the end of the year last year, I feel like the balance was skewed. You know, I fell into a place where it was just a lot of drinking and a lot of heavy drinking, and I was just not enjoying it. It was making me feel shit again. My body wasn't feeling good. And it tends to happen in summer as well, you know. Summer tends to be like a time where my balance is tested to the limit. You know, I really have to just hold fast and be like, all right, do you really need that drink, or do you really need to go out and push yourself after X many days on the go, you know? So yeah, for me it was like, okay, let's just go back, let's reevaluate, and let's just get a little bit of balance.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think dry January is such a time to reset and evaluate and look at our habits, because it's so easy to just get into that habit of like, I finish work, I'm going to have a beer. I'm like, ooh, let's go to the pub and have a couple of beers. You know, especially when it's wintry, you're like,
and it can be like, January can be a depressing month. I mean, sometimes people don't really want to raw dog their way through January with nothing to keep them going. And like, I get
raw
that.
Dog it.
I get that. You know, it can be hard, and maybe you don't do dry January. Although I have to say, as annoying as dry January as a concept is for some people, and we can get into why of that as well. The truth is, it's a great time to do it because you have so much support. You know, so many people are doing it. So why not jump on the bandwagon and just allow yourself to be supported by all those people? Allow yourself to do the fun non-party things or the sober party things with other people, and revel in that camaraderie, instead of making it about, oh, we're all so sad, we can't do anything, we can't drink, God help us. You know, like, enjoy the time together and reflect, do different things.
Yeah, absolutely. I think what we don't realise with alcohol is like, it is a big energy suck, isn't it, right? and we think, you know, especially for like us, it's been so ingrained. You need to drink to have a good time, right? And like for a long time, I have been putting on events, and I know that you do as well, which are like alcohol free. And when you actually, like, what is quite hard is when you go into a place, like you go into a pub, which your little brain always associates with drinking. It's like, why do you want to go and put yourself in a pub when there's all the drinks and everyone else is like getting pissed, and you're like, I can't drink? It doesn't really make sense. Whereas if you do something completely different, completely out of your comfort zone, that you do not associate in any way whatsoever with drinking, your mind's like, ooh, what's going on here? And it's a new experience. And our minds and our soul loves new experiences. And sometimes it's fucking scary to get out, isn't it, and do that. But what I have noticed is my time of not drinking is when we do drink, what happens to us, we go into a social situation and the mask comes off, we relax and we feel like we can be ourselves and say the things that we wanted to say, that this little limited version of ourselves, like, oh, I couldn't possibly say that. And that's what is nice about that feeling of alcohol, isn't it? And I used to go to the pub and everyone would be like, yeah, mate, giving you a cuddle, because they're all just like lost their inhibitions and they're a bit looser. And it's like, how do we just, and this is, I don't say how do, because I know exactly how we do it. This is what we do when we meet up and we have like our ceremonies and everything. Everyone's all cuddly, everyone's open, everyone's saying the fucking truth. You know, everyone's dancing. And yes, I admit that sometimes when you've been used to like dancing and you lubricate by alcohol, you might, you know,
feel a bit awkward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you get into it. It's like a breaking through that barrier. You know, we sing all the time, don't we? Loads of people are like, oof, throat chakra's blocked. I don't want to sing. But you push yourself and you get past it, and you're like, actually, I don't need this shit. Actually, you dance way worse when you're drunk.
I think it's so true. You know, you've got, doing something like this is all about pushing past your comfort zone, and maybe instead of seeing it as a punishment, because this is so many people have this attitude towards dry January. I'm punishing myself.
Yeah.
You know, there's no need to see it as a punishment. It's a gift to yourself to reevaluate where you stand in your life. And it's also an opportunity to try new things, to push yourself outside your comfort zone, to open yourself up to new experiences, to delve a little bit deeper and see what are some of the questions. Ask yourself some questions. Why do I enjoy drinking? What is drinking giving me that I can't get normally? What am I getting out of this experience?
Or what am I running from?
Yeah.
Sometimes we have to literally, like, to heal. It's this, like, compassionate inquiry into ourselves. What am I covering up with my drinking? And that can be
a painful thing.
It can be hard, because a lot of us don't want to go back into our caves and do deep healing. A lot of us do these days, and that's actually, you know, that's spurring us on, isn't it, and making us into better human beings. But sometimes giving up booze and being like,
well, I think that's why you maybe sometimes dry January can be that doorway even into giving up alcohol. Can be that doorway into like, oh, hang on a minute, actually, maybe I'm ready to start asking these questions. Maybe I'm ready to start going to therapy, to go and see a therapist like Sarah and speak it through and do the work, so that you don't have to worry about it anymore, so that you don't have to feel like that you've got to drink it all away or drink it all, cover it up with drink. Yeah,
I think that's the thing, isn't it? It's all about just being our authentic selves, feeling like we can express ourselves without needing to have a drink. It's feeling like it's okay to not be okay sometimes, and feeling into that and finding out where it comes from, and just sitting, you know, really sitting with yourself. And oh my God, yeah, sometimes that just feels so daunting, doesn't it?
It really does.
Daunting. It's so
lonely, and I think, you know, maybe you're not there yet. Not everybody is there yet. Not everybody is willing to go there, and that's okay. You know, maybe this isn't the time that you're gonna start to dig. But maybe giving up alcohol for a month is just a good opportunity to just get some clarity and some peace and some perspective on some things. But I think there's a lot in what you're saying as well about, you know, the loneliness. When you do give up alcohol, there can be a lot of loneliness as well. There are things that get stripped away when you stop drinking. You have to raw dog your way through life. Then, you know, there are things that get stripped away, and sometimes those things are relationships. You know, sometimes you end up with having to lose some friends along the way. Sometimes you have to lose some of your habits, some of the places you hang out. You know, it can be lonely and it can be painful. But I think that's part of the pushing yourself to do new things and be in new spaces so that you can replace those things.
I mean, energetically, the way that I see this is like when I first gave up drinking, all of my friends, every single one of them was a crazy party wreckhead. So for me, it was really, really fucking lonely because I was like, and it was 10 years ago, and you know, our consciousness and everything, society has shifted so much in that time. So it was a really, really super lonely time. And also you have to know that when you do stop drinking, those people, that camaraderie that goes along with that, like people are going to question that, and they are going to move away from you as much as you move away from them, because it makes them like evaluate their own drinking and their own habits and their own filters of the way that they see you, because they see you as being the same as them, and when you're not, that rattles it rattles everything up, doesn't it? Like hugely. But also it's like knowing energetically when we get rid of one thing. So say for example we get rid of like 25 friends who are merely acquaintances who are our record mates. We create all of this energetic space that we could maybe pull in like 6 really like amazing deep soul connection with friends. You know, it's whatever's taken up that energetic space, isn't it?
Definitely. I think, you know, we wanted to also maybe talk a little bit about the shift that happens when you're not drinking and you want to go out, you want to have fun. How do you approach it? I think, you know, one of the big things for me was to shift from an attitude of I'm going out to drink to I'm going out to have fun, and try and have as much fun as I possibly can in whatever ways that. What does fun really mean? Drinking itself, the act of drinking, isn't the fun. You go out because you want to see your mates, you want to catch up with them, you want to listen to music. You know, ultimately we go out to connect because we're human beings and we need connection. So if you go out and you focus more on the going on the connections and the chatting and the music and the laughter and the whatever, and less on the drinking, and you are able to kind of shift your perspective and go, I'm here for fun and I'm not here to be drunk. And then the second part of that is, I think, knowing when to go home. Is like at some point you're going to stop having fun, and it's probably going to be when everybody else starts to get messy, because it isn't, we'll be honest, like it's not that fun when you're sober and everybody else is messy. It starts to get really kind of annoying, but that's okay, because you have to know when to go, all right, I'm done, I've had fun, I've connected, I've enjoyed myself, and I'm ready to go home. And do that it doesn't mean that you're always going to feel that way, but it does mean that you can still go out and have fun. You've just got to know your limits.
Go home. And also the thing is like when we are going out and we're drinking or doing whatever, you know, you're going to be able to stay. You're going to have a staying power till like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning because you fuel. You're on your tart fuel. You're like, whoosh, let's go. When you're when you're not drinking, come like 10:30, you're going to be like, I'm naturally tired and I want to go to bed. And everyone does get annoying. There's that massive like energetic shift, isn't it? You go out, you're on the same vibe of like, ooh, let's have a good time, and I'm and then as people like their vibration shifts them into more drinking, you're into like, ooh, I'm getting tired. You're not going to connect on the same way, and then there's going to be that awkwardness almost that sets in, and then it's like, go home, or go home just before that, when you're feeling that like,
when you still feel good and you're still having,
yeah.
you know, and I think it's difficult initially for people to accept, you know, they're going to give you shit for going home early, or they're going to tell you you're a loser because you're not drinking.
But fuck it.
You gotta be brave, and you gotta stick to your guns if you wanna stick to your guns. I found one of the most interesting things when I did a dry January equivalent in South Africa many years ago, and it was the first time I'd ever not drunk alcohol for a significant amount of time. And I remember going out and being so anxious about other people knowing that I wasn't drinking, and the questions, you know, what am I going to tell people? And it was so interesting because when I actually, when I had that first drink and people asked me, or the questions inevitably came up, I was like,
pregnant?
you know, oh, why aren't you drinking? Oh no, I'm not drinking. Okay. And then I noticed that after that initial kind of conversation, people are so focused on what they're doing. They're so focused on the fun that they're having, that's how people are. They're focused on themselves. They're not that focused on you. And it naturally just shifts back to them. And eventually, nobody cares what you're doing anymore. They just ignore you. They're not watching, what are you drinking for the rest of the night? Nobody cares.
That's the biggest thing for us all as human beings to know. Like, no one really cares. I mean, people do care, but it's like we put so much like emphasis that, ooh, what do people think? And it's like, whatever happens, people, you know, there's bigger and there's better, isn't there? Or there's more fun to be had, or whatever. People don't really, they're not that.
They really don't care.
Yeah, they really
I mean,
care.
you do obviously get some friend groups that are a little bit toxic with this, and I've seen where people can be really like bullying and ugly about it. And honestly, in those situations, I think you need to reevaluate your friendships, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
If your friends cannot support you, to care for your own well-being, to look after your body, to look after your mind, to look after your soul, then
they're not your friends.
Are they really your friends?
Yeah.
You know, your friends shouldn't make you feel like shit for wanting to do good for yourself. And, you know, it's 100% a mirror on what they are feeling about themselves if they are acting like that towards you. For sure. So, yeah, I think we're probably close to wrapping up now. What was our last point that we wanted to make?
I wouldn't mind just talking briefly about like how much better I feel from not drinking. Like day 16, and the like first of all the clarity has started to come back into my brain, right? Which is amazing. More inspired thoughts. The little miracles are just showing up in my life, and I'm like, oh my God, because my energy's bigger and my energy's brighter. And then that, you know, as we know, when we are in that state, we attract in all these like really good, happy things. I've got so much more space to think. I'm waking up in the morning feeling like it's a new day. Eating so much better, because I always find that, you know, you're drinking, you're not looking after yourself, you're eating shitty food because that's what your body's craving. You're hungover or slightly hungover, and you're craving this like rubbish food, don't you? Just generally feeling like so much more inspired, so much more creative, so much more buzzing, and just seeing like life looks almost like it's more colourful and more in HD. Do you know what I mean? Instead of being like, oh, it's January, I'm like, oh my God, look at that daffodil.
It helps we've had sun for a few days.
yeah, absolutely. Look at the colours.
I agree. I think physically I especially feel just so much healthier, so much lighter, so much just, you just don't wake up with this heaviness in the morning. You wake up feeling light and feeling strong and feeling definitely like your stomach and your digestion is so much better. And when you don't drink, it's really a huge game changer for like the basic things like your digestion, your respiratory system. Like ultimately alcohol is a poison, right? And when you put a poison in your body, it's poisoning your body in little ways all over, destroying the way that your organs function on a day-to-day basis, so
absolutely. I mean, alcohol originally was used as an anesthetic to put people to sleep back in the day until they thought that it was actually too dangerous. But when we think about this, what we're doing is every time we drink, we're numbing all parts of our body. We're numbing our feelings, we're numbing our vision, we're numbing our ears. Like everything loses some of its like magic. So it's like
that's such a good point. Actually, it is. It's a dulling of our senses.
Yeah.
And why? Like obviously, if you want to feel life fully, why not? Why not try and strip it away?
Yeah, and yeah, it's like don't be scared of yourself as well. Don't be scared to feel. It can be daunting, but there's so much out there. There's so much support, and in closing, what we were saying at the start is it's like. In Cornwall, there is literally, you could go to something every single night of the week that is like a sober event, couldn't you? There's stuff going on, and from running like loads of events myself, I know now that there's so many people that just rock up solo and they come into the space, and yeah, you do feel a bit anxious and a bit weird, but people leave as friends all the time. It's like the community is like super open, so it's like you're like, even if this is just like our invitation, it's like you're so fucking welcome to come